Good morning and welcome to a special edition of Coffee and Conversation. I am LaWanna and Bradford here with co-founder and business partner of Celebrate You Embracing Her Wellness Community, Miss Barbara Beckley. How's it going, Barbara?
Going good, lady. Going good. Good morning, everybody. Glad to always be here with my partner in crime here, Mrs. LaWanna Bradford.
Well, normally, I know you guys are thinking, okay, did I miss something? It is not the first Saturday of the month. You're right. It isn't. Um, this is a special coffee and conversation. Typically, we're always on the first Saturday of every month, but next month also it'll be a special date because that weekend, which is the first Saturday of August, is my dad's, God willing, 93rd birthday weekend celebration. So I will not be on with you all.
Now that's a special day.
Special day.
Yes.
Well, today we're going to, and I'm going to put this up here. We're going to talk about the art and science of networking and also some other things. One thing about coffee and conversation, it is a platform where I like to almost call it like a variety platform. You never know what you're going to get. Coffee and conversations is like a box of chocolates. In the words of Forrest Gump. But you will walk away today with the golden nugget around the art and science of networking. But before we get into that topic, what's new and exciting in your world, Barbara?
New and exciting in my world. Well, one thing, it's funny what we were talking about yesterday. Barbara has to get out of the thing that she's going to have to go back in the office in a little while for work. It's been a blast of working from home, but companies not so much. Are like, we want you to come back, not sometime all the way, but we want to see love. We want you to come back in the office. So with that said, I've been struggling a little bit here because it has been nice just to kind of get up, get yourself together, focus, boom, you're right on the computer, 6 whatever in the morning to whatever, and you're getting things done. But now I got to get in a car and drive for an hour and a half. I'm not really feeling that too much, LaWanna. I'm just not. Not. It's like, to me, it's like an hour and a half. I'm thinking to myself, I can be getting so much done. But that's how it goes. But yeah, that's one thing I've been kind of like, okay, let me get ready.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
It's changed, right? The one thing that Prime Minister Disraeli said, the UK Prime Minister, was that the one thing that is constant is change, and we like our life the way we like it, and even when the change happened, with the pandemic and new guidelines came, that was uncomfortable. Then we got, it's like that old those old comfy slippers. It's like, this is feeling good now. And then they're like, okay, knock knock, time to come on back. Good morning.
It's like, I'm gonna do like my famous friend always says, I don't wanna.
I hear you.
But yeah, so
yeah, a lot of companies right now, they're I was reading something that said, okay, why are you all working like we're still in a pandemic? You do know you have an office. You do know we're paying for, office space, whatever it is. You need to come back.
Well, I have to say on the other end, and then moving forward, I know moving forward that, some everybody's in a different corporation wherever they at, different climate, but I have to say a lot of them are still giving you some options, at least. I mean, it's not like it's like boom, you're all back. Nothing else. Deal with it. They're more so like, okay, you still got the hybrid option. We just want to see your love come more, in the office. Or some people, if they were hired virtual, they're good. So it depends on where you're at. But overall, like LaWanna said, change is always going to be there, and you have to just adapt to it and understand and move forward, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started, Barbara, I had an interview. Actually, it will be airing on Monday on my show, Choose to Challenge. I interviewed Jill Reynolds, who's a member of our community, and she has an event coming up. And I want to show this promo video, but what is so exciting about this event is it aligns with the story of Esther. And for those of you who do not know Esther, Esther is a woman who is in the Bible, and she is known for going and approaching the king, which could have actually put her life in jeopardy if she had not been received, and to ask him for grace. And she is known for saving the Jewish people. In fact, one of her lines is, "It's 4 times such as this." And so when you look at this video clip, think about your life. And for this moment in time, what were you called to do? And are you doing it? And are you willing to take the risk? Because sometimes when we are pushing for change, pushing to elevate and create equitable situations for others, there's a risk to us. And then the other thing that Queen Esther said was, "If I perish, I perish." So again, how vested, how tapped in to what it is that you say is your calling, your purpose, your passion. Are you willing to go as far as, "If I perish, I perish," right? Queen Elizabeth, the former Queen Elizabeth, often said her life, whether it be long or short, would be devoted forever to the service of her people. How devoted are you to what you say is your why and your purpose? So
wow.
I'm going to play this, and then this is about a 2-minute video, but check it out. And if you are able to attend, this event is going to be in Branson, Missouri. I know if I wasn't going to be back in Arizona from my dad, I would definitely go. It just seems like it's going to be an amazing time. Here we go.
Beginning of time, God has commissioned women from around the world to mentor, encourage, teach and train tweens, teens, college students, and young women to be courageous and fearless women of God. In 2023, Queen Esther's need to rise up to save our nation and the generations to come. Receiving a crown of beauty for ashes, God has called older women to teach younger women that they are good enough and are wanted by a king who wants them to arise as resilient Queen Esthers and to live wisely, purely, and be good. Join us for 2 days at Yakov Theater in Branson, Missouri on Saturday, August 19th, 2023 and Sunday, August 20th, 2023 for Resilient Brave Hearts Women Conference. For such a time as this, come in a day early to see Esther at Sight and Sound Theater.
Hi, I'm Jill Reynolds with Resilient Brave Hearts. For such a time as this, coming to Branson, Missouri, August 19th to 20th, 2023. We will be meeting at Yakov's Theater, and I'm so excited for the event. No longer broken and becoming the best you will be joining us at this event. It's for all women of all ages, from 12 years old to 100. You don't want to miss this event. Come to Branson and be with us for this amazing weekend of hope, health, and healing.
Register now by going to braveheartworkshops.com.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So what do you think about that? I mean, she's got a testimony of how God gave her this download and this inspiration for this event, and everything has just been lining up
Mm,
from
mm,
being able to
mm,
have the venue, because Branson is known for its theaters and all of the shows, and normally the summer
mm,
is totally booked.
mm-hmm.
But
And
to
she was
have,
able. Wow.
yeah,
That's going to be huge, and I'm loving the mission. I'm loving the vision that is being told with that, with Esther and teaching, and I like how she said, the older women teaching the younger, and I'm like, oh, this was needed more and more now. So
yes,
powerful, powerful.
yeah, and I think that leads right into what we're talking about, the art and science of networking, right? Because of that networked relationship that she has within our community. I love that she just came and said, I've got an ask. Can I leverage your platform? Can I reach out, to a broader audience to let people know what is happening, the why behind it, the
Mm-hmm.
benefits for attending? But think about it, when you go to an event like that,
Mm,
it's there's so much healing, but there's so much community that's
yeah,
going to come out of that type of event. Barbara.
yeah, and then the relationship building. I always tell people that's the biggest thing, is to build those relationships, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know whose lives are going to be touched. Your life going to be touched with others, and just making those connections. Yeah, powerful, powerful.
Right. And this week we had an opportunity, Barbara and I, we hosted a networking session. We're going to have a bigger one specifically targeted for this community. But um, one thing that I loved having was a virtual platform. And we know that now we have the opportunity, obviously, with the world is back open, not only to have your virtual opportunities to connect, but also your in person. And the one thing that stays constant, no matter how we interface with one another,
Mm-hmm.
connection is key. Human connection is important. And I want to say meaningful connection. So can we go there, Barbara?
I like how you said me. The word is the important is meaningful, like you said.
Barbara and I, we were talking before this. We were planning on the topic today, and I'll turn it over to her to share her experience. But let's rewind. Let's go back in time. And I know when I first got involved and was being taught how to network to build those professional relationships and partnerships, that there was a way to do it, right? This is back in the day when we had our business cards. And it's like, okay, you would have your team, you divide and conquer the room, but you would challenge yourself to say, okay, what success looked like was who was going to come back with the most business cards. So just imagine this. You're in a big room, like-minded individuals. You got your cards in your pocket, in your case, whatever. You got them ready. You're armed and dangerous. And I was just going from person to person. Hi, my name is da-da-da. Your really quick 30-second pitch. Give you my card. Now, listen, you didn't ask for it. I'm just giving it to you. And then I'm like, can I get your card? So my whole motive was to see how many cards I could get. And then as I'm leaving the person, again, this is old school, I'm taking out my pen and writing something quickly on the back of that card. Or, now when we had our smartphones, I'm doing a quick note about, okay, this is Barbara Beckley. She's got a TV show. You can call her on Monday. Follow up with her on Monday. And then I'm going to the next person. Now, what do you think are my chances that I built, really strong connections in that time when my goal was how many cards can I get? I mean, that was the measure of success. And that's what was taught to me by those success gurus. Barbara.
Well, I mean, back in the day, like you said, I was in the same boat. Well, I'm glad you did a little extra, though. I have to give you credit on this. At least you wrote something on the back of the card to say who they were or what they did or something that they could do something with. I didn't even do that much. I was just like getting cards. And at the end of the day, I'm like, now what did they? Okay, did this? They're this. They do that. You know, all of a sudden I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm like, well, you know what? That's okay. I got a lot of cards. No, that's not. No. You know, I thought that was my success, but I was taught that way. Like LaWanna said, you know, people were telling us to do a certain thing. And then the genius happened where I was like, I really got to get to know me. I really got to understand these people. I just can't just be getting cards, you know, like it's a card show. Like after that, so okay, this card, oh, this is a pretty color, this another color, this is purple color. Because then I was comparing cards to how they looked. I was like, oh, I like how they did that card. I like how they did that. I'm like, but Barbara, you still didn't get to know them. You're just looking at, oh, look at the colors, look at this. What does that got to do with the relationship build? Do you know who they are? Did you whatever? So yeah, I was in the same boat. But like I said, you did the extra because at least you wrote down what that particular person was about and what they could probably do for you or you can do for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, I hope individuals are going to, you know, tune in and just don't pop in and out because again, there is an art and science to it. I don't care how long you've been in business. Sometimes when we've been in business a long time, we think, I got this. I've mastered this. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Again, this was a technique that was given to me by the pros. It's what you do, you know. And then I saw where I would go to other networking sessions that were more refined, which I liked the concept, but it was still the end of the day. I got, you know, I'm going through to get as many cards as I can. And what this was a little different. You'd go in and you would sign up like what industry you were in. And so you would have your color name tag. So mine would, you say LaWanna Bradford, the Bradford group, and it would be like green for finance. And so the thing was you were to network with everyone in the financial industry. Okay, but are necessarily the people in my financial industry potential clients? Maybe, maybe not. So again, they were orchestrating. This is what you do. So during these times, you only were to talk to those who had the same color code. Now, what I found out of those sessions, I ended up building more strategic partners or meeting other people who were doing the exact same thing I was doing. So then we could bounce ideas off of each other. But again, you have to, when we talk about art and science, and Barbara, I'm tossing it to you now, you have to understand why you're even showing up for this networking event. Why? I mean, is it just like something to do? I want to get out there. I want to be social. I want to be with the people. And that's fine if you're going for social. But if you're going for business, what is your why? What is your strategic approach when you show up? And are you showing up just to get? Again, I'm going to say that again. Are you showing up just to get? Or are you looking at how can I give and serve, Barbara?
Well, that's a good, like you just said, LaWanna, the question is, what's your why? And we always talk about that. If you hear us on other things that we do, we always ask, what is your why? Because that's going to, point you to the direction what you're trying to do. And networking alone, what is the why? Well, some people like LaWanna, it might be you want to increase your visibility. You just want to just show up and say, okay, I was there. Okay, that might be your why. Another person's why is you want to improve your reputation, be a better talker. That might be your why. Or maybe you just want to have a more impactful connection with people. That might be your why. And a lot of times when I started thinking about my why, I'm use myself as an example since we're talking about our whys, is that first, get the cards. That was my first why, because I was competing with other people. Okay, that was that why. Second, Well, I just showed up. I was there. Hey, I got my name on a little thing. I signed up for it. Ta-da! That was my other why. Third why that really has helped me out is I want to really have an impact. And I want to see others that are doing the same thing. So all of a sudden I started stop doing this. I'm talking about talking and started doing this. I started listening to my surroundings when I went to networking organizations to see what were they saying, what was some things that they were dealing with, what things they're going through. Because now I'm listening to say now I can talk to individuals and have those conversations. Before I even pull out a card, before I even pull out who I am, it was like, let me see what this person's about. Because we're people. When you think about it, we're not, mechanical people. We're people. We need to get to know each other. So I'm thinking in the long run, as I was going through my cycle of really understanding what networking is and getting from different sides of it, it comes to the point of what kind of impact can you help create with each other as you're going to these networks?
Yeah, I love that. When we look at how we position ourselves, like you said, to create impact, what does that look like? Can you visualize what it is? And then once you visualize it, can you embody it and walk in it? And the one thing, there is etiquette when it comes to networking. You should not just shove your card in someone's face assuming that they even want it. Right? Or saying, oh, let me get your number so I can text you my information. I didn't ask you for it. I didn't ask you. It's like, really? Isn't that a little forward? Isn't that a little presumptuous? If anything, put yourself on the other shoe. And because you found someone interesting, you found an affinity connection that you can say, hey, Barbara, wow, I'd like to hear more about that. Do you mind if I get your card or your contact information? Would love to connect with you outside of this. And you get the card or the information, digitally, however you want to do it, and you exchange. And then if you're there to go and meet other people, it's okay to excuse yourself and say, wow, this has been so great. I'm not going to be here long. And just walk around and, just see who else is here. And you excuse yourself. Or sometimes you go up to a group, right, that's talking and you're listening and you're like, oh, wow, they're talking about, I don't know, dog breeding. Well, I don't do anything with dog breeding. I don't even have a dog. So I can sit there and pretend like I'm interested in the conversation, or I can just smile and say, wow, make a little comment about, wow, I see we got some dog lovers here, and just smile, and you just, politely excuse yourself and go to the next conversation.
Mm. Really good tips. I like that. I was just thinking, and I know we discussed this. I told you my little scenario of the pushy people. Like you said, they push stuff, or they send you a card, or they send you a text, or they message you through LinkedIn or whatever and say, hey, all of a sudden the bill, as soon as they say, hey, I know, here's a sales pitch. Here's a sales pitch. Don't do it, because Barbara I don't like that. And you don't even know who I am. And I was just telling LaWanna the other day, I said, this person, he was just boom. You could say he was deep in the sales. Hi, my name is da-da-da-da. And we have this particular product or service that we're selling right now. And he was on and on through this message. And I know you would really benefit through this. And I was like, okay. And then it was enhanced sex enhancement for men. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, did you even read my bio? Do you even know that I'm a female? I mean, it was just really weird. And you can tell it was a cut and paste. I was like, and I'm like, see how that relationship, first of all, there's no building of a relationship. You didn't know who I was. You didn't take the time to see what I do. You didn't take the time to say hello. You didn't take the time to say how your day go. None of that. Just, hey, here you go. I call those, well, no, I better not do that. I don't want to talk about the car salespeople. Love you. I don't want to go there. I had to be careful. But yeah, when you're just throwing yourself and putting yourself out there, to me, that's really a disrespect, because now you haven't took the time out to get to know who this individual is. You just treating them just like, like a conveyor belt or something of people just coming, and that's not right.
And those are individuals who are, there's one thing, you want to be hungry. Les Brown says you want to be hungry, but these are people who are desperate. There's a difference. That you will just jump over everything. You don't care to know me. You're not asking what I do to even find out if I'm a good fit or a potential fit for whatever it is you're offering. You're just making this assumption. And last month, someone had posted some information about grants and financing. And I always like to get any information that I can share within our community. So the person said, if you want information, to DM them. So I DM'd and I said, hey, first of all, I'd like to know what types of grants, because all grants aren't created equal. Well, it turned out it wasn't a grant, that this person was part of a multi-level networking that has like some third-party resources that you can access. And so I said, oh, no, I'm not interested. They got angry. Well, what do you mean you're not interested? You haven't heard what we have. I said, oh, I thought I was dealing with a financial advisor or grant writer in a particular area, but that's not what it is. I said, but thank you very much. They still kept pushing. And I firmly said, and some people would say, well, why did you keep communicating? Because sometimes it's, again, like that lesson said, the older women will teach the younger. So it's about, now this is a teachable moment. Mm-hmm. So I had to pause and I said, Sally, I understand and respect your passion and what you are trying to offer me, but I'm asking you to in turn respect me when I said that I'm not interested. And then she said, well, why won't you give me a chance? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, what didn't you understand about that last sentence I just said? I am not interested. There is not a need for this. And then she said, well, what, you don't trust me? I said, I don't know you.
Wow.
And so this kind of these messages went back and forth. And finally I said, I think we're at an impasse. I'm just trying to walk you through, helping you to understand that this isn't for me, but I'm going to end the conversation. And then I just deleted it, actually blocked it, because I started to feel that she was becoming offensive. Yeah. And just constantly pushing. And it's like, you're not giving me a chance. And that's the problem with people like you. You've achieved X, and you won't know it. Really? And you want to build a relationship. Again, going back to the art and science of networking. So science, meaning there's a specific strategy, process, method that the networking sits on. But the art is the human dynamics, the emotional intelligence, the relatability that you need to have as you're weaving your way through these artful, strategic conversations. Barbara.
Wow, that's deep. I mean, they went there. And then they went from that to that. I was like, now how do you think you're going to communicate with the person? And first of all, you're just kind of throwing yourself at them, and then you can get an attitude. I mean, she totally got an attitude. Like, you don't trust me. Okay. Really? You brought up the T word, trust. How am I trusting you right now with this? Let's look at this. Let's analyze this. Can we really take a big picture of this? But yeah, that's deep. And I like how you said about, just real quickly, with the art of it, that, and I'm just gonna, you learn from others. I've learned from even when I go through networking. I had to really tell myself, do I really care about individuals? I'm just going to put it out there. This is a conversation, right? And you have to ask yourself that, because I don't care how many networks you go to. I don't know how many strategies, how you do it, the scientific of networking and everything. You have to have some type of caring involved, be it, who you want to meet or who you want to help or what kind of impact you want to, whatever it is, before you even say, even go to network. Because if you don't have all that, then sometimes it's like, okay, it's a waste of your time and other people's time, because now you're going for, maybe it's not really going to help you. So I always say that, okay, Barbara, why are you going to the network? Like, we go back to the why. Do you don't want to create an impact? Who you want to create impact for? If it's just all self, okay. Like you said, everybody got their why. But I had to make it more meaningful for me. And if I'm in this world I have my own business, or I always say I'm helping others to understand, teaching, whatever you're doing, there has to be that care mentality of, what do you want to help others with, or what would you like to help others with, or what would you like to connect with somebody? And that's where you get a more meaningful connection when you go to these network organizations.
Yeah, I like what you said. And I think at times the biggest challenge we can have is checking ourselves. It's really sitting back, like you said, asking the tough questions, or even doing that post evaluation. I personally would rather go to a networking session. Let's say there's 50 people in the room. Well, I can walk away with 30 cards or 30 contacts, or I can take my time and walk away with 2 meaningful connections. And I want to just go back to you and I, Barbara, and that this is an example of a meaningful connection. We met at an event in Florida. Barbara lives in Wisconsin, and I'm both in Arizona and Atlanta. But when we met in Florida, we were at the same table. Well, we probably had maybe 10 minutes together at that, and then Barbara had another engagement still at the same function. We didn't get a chance to talk anymore. In fact, we didn't even exchange information with each other. So I was like, well, and I just kind of blocked it out and went on to enjoy the conference. But our paths crossed again. So sometimes there is a divine timing and connection. Pay attention to when the intersects happen again. That it's not just happenstance. So the first connection, I can say, oh, she just happened to sit at my table. The next time, she and I are leaving the hotel to go to the airport. At the same time, I could have jumped in, because we both had ordered a taxi. I could have jumped in my taxi. She could have jumped in her taxi. Hey, great meeting you. And we went on our way. But this is where I talk about that second or third intersect. Pay attention to that. Because we said, wait a minute, why are we taking 2 taxis and we're both going to the airport at the same time? You want to share one? In that 30-minute ride, that's when the art of networking is happening. What is it, 5 years later, 6 years later now? Yeah, 6 years later.
6 years later. 6 years.
6 years later, from a cab ride. So I want you to really think about when you're connecting with people. You never know. It could be we share a cab. It's an Uber share. Who knows? It's that person in front of you at the line at the drugstore. You never know. All networking doesn't happen at a quote unquote networking event. And when you see yourself circling back, it's like, okay, why is this person crossing my path again? Let me lean in. It could be something, it may not be, but I don't want it to have been something and I missed it because I just want to ride in my taxi by myself. I don't want to talk to anybody. Because I know for me, one of the things that I'm naturally, believe it or not, not a shy person, but a quiet person. I enjoy listening more than talking, even though it may not seem that way, but it's true. But what I'm working on, because I do a lot of flying, typically when I get on the flight, first thing I do, earbuds or headset on. Why? Because that's telling people, don't bother me. Well, what if that's someone I need to connect with is sitting next to me? What if that's someone I can pour into? So now that's not the first thing I do. I'll wait till we get, to a certain altitude or whatever. I'll say hello, just a little chit chat. But typically that's my time to just kind of decompress and, I might have some other things that I'm doing. But before I would just don't talk to me. Do not talk to me. In fact, another place where I don't like talking and is when you go to the salon. I don't like having conversations. If I'm sitting in your chair, just do my hair. Don't talk to me. That is me. I don't like it because I'm in a space, right? I may have my book. It's maybe my time to read my book, and you're having a conversation. I'm thinking, do you not see I'm reading? But I've learned to just pause. Maybe there's something I need to hear. Maybe I need to show up for someone in a different way. Maybe I need to hear their message because it may be something that can uplift me. Now, I'm not going to be a chatterbox. I don't want to go from the time I get there to the time I leave and we're creating conversation. That's not me. I'm not going to do a force fit, but I'm not going to do a force close either. I'm saying, leave me alone. This is, do you not see this box I put around myself?
What you said, LaWanna? Leave me alone. But I like. Thank you for expressing that. That was good because you never know, you might miss out on something. You got to be true to you because, like you said, sometimes you just don't want to be bothered. I mean, that's just point blank. I mean, I'm like that too, especially when I go on the plane and at the beauty shop. Two things that you used, I'm the same way. But then I had to open up a little bit and say, well, wait a minute. Wow, before I be closing myself up for whatever, maybe there's something that I need to hear. Maybe let me give me some time with this. Let me take that extra step for a minute and see what's going on. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was tackling that too. I was like, leave me alone. I just want to be quiet. And then I'm like, and then when I became unquiet, I was like, and then he talked, I was like, oh, either I was aware, I got aware of something that I didn't know. I was like, I pressed in a little bit more, or it was something that I see they were having some issues with, and I was able to soothe or say something that soothed what was needed. So I was glad that I kind of opened up and then said, okay, it's not just about Barbara right now. Let's do this.
Well, I'm going to do two takeaways. Barbara and I are actually the sponsor. Our companies are the sponsor of Coffee and Conversation. So I'm going to show the Bradford group and then followed by the Diamond Factor.
Well, that was jamming. I like yours. I was down there just jamming.
Well, welcome if you're just joining us to Coffee and Conversation, our monthly show, variety show, where Barbara and I bring information, insight, laughs to you. And today we're talking about the art and science of networking. And we started off sharing that Barbara and I had a networking event earlier this week. And the one thing that surprised me is one of the individuals, when we were doing a round robin, mentioned who their ideal client was. And afterwards, Barbara and I are looking at each other saying, huh? I mean, and we've known this person for a while. And I thought, that's sad that I've known this person this long and I had no idea who their ideal or target client. Because what they said, I didn't see the nexus. I didn't see the connection with anything they're doing and this person over here who they said they want to reach. Barbara, let's talk about that when we talk about now the science of networking, the strategy with networking.
Well, yeah, I very surprised that when that individual said, their client, I was like, wow. And then I was telling LaWanna, I was like, first I was like, okay, this is a good awareness of understanding how you need to really put out who your client is. We shouldn't be guessing. There should be no guessing games. You shouldn't be like, or, oh, I thought you were doing this, but then no, I'm doing this. Well, why are you doing this if this is your client? So those were things that were going on in my head. That was the strategy part of it. But then the art part of it was, and I had to look at myself. I told her once, I had to really look in the mirror myself, not blaming myself for not understanding who their client was, but what did I miss with all those years that I've been knowing this person that now I'm just finding out that this is the particular client, not this. It was like, it was totally, way opposite. It wasn't like closer, maybe it was like, whoo. And knowing this person for that long, where did I miss where I didn't connect or talk, or we had conversations where maybe somewhere down the line that would have came out somewhere, so then I was thinking about the way I'm communicating or the way that I'm talking to people. So it made me think for myself too. Yeah.
And an example would be where, like Barbara and I, and this isn't the real situation, but let's say we thought that this person's ideal client are elementary school teachers, but then found out, no, it's a biochemical engineer. Literally it was that radical. Where I'm thinking, Mayday, how did we not hear that? It was that radical, not where it's, oh, LaWanna, come on, that's pretty close. No, it was biomedical engineer versus an elementary school teacher.
Like, yeah. I was blown away.
And that's important, Barbara, when we are going into a place or space where we can network, even if it's picking up the phone, following up, understanding, like you said, your why, but then who is your ideal client? If that's the purpose of you networking, because you want to build client relations or partnerships that's going to help expand your client reach. If you're not able to comfortably communicate that person or group, then it's kind of like a hit and miss.
Yeah. And I was just thinking that, okay, going back to a little strategy of the science of networking and that particular, scenario that we're talking about, if they're going to networking, and I'm just saying for all those, we had to think, okay, strategically, I'm going to this network. If you're going to find clients or people that relates to what you do, why would you go somewhere where it's totally not your client at all? Like, okay, if you work with beauticians, I'm going to just throw another example out, but then you're going to networking with all golfers. 10 to 1, unless, through the conversation, they talk about how they get where they get their hair done. I don't think that's going to really happen, maybe. But besides that, it's kind of, you're kind of there for just, there's no strategy for that. It's like, okay, why am I even sitting in this thing? So you got to look at this part too. There's times when people tell me, oh, Barbara, you got to go to this networking. And before I'd be like, oh, okay, that was the old me. Yeah, let me run over this network. Let me go over there. And then I get there and I'm thinking about, okay, Barbara, what do you do for people? What is your client? What is your clientele? What you trying to? And I get there, it was nothing. Nothing had to do with what I needed, what they needed from me, nothing. So that was 3 hours of time that I kind of wasted because somebody said, ooh. So you got to know where you're going, what you're trying to do, going back to that why, going back to who's your client, all that stuff. You have to think about all that. It's like doing the homework before you start taking on where you're going to try to go.
Right. And again, that goes back to the science, the strategic approach that you're taking, whether it's in person or virtual, right? It's I hear an echo, I don't know why. But that's real important is to think about that 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 why and that who and how much time, let's put that there. How much time are you going to give to that networking? And we're going to talk about events now, that networking event. Because once that time has been outlaid, you can never get it back. It's gone forever and ever. So if you know that a networking event is 2 to 3 hours, think about it as an open house. I don't know why sometimes people have in their heads, I got to open up the networking session and I got to close it. No, if you feel that it's of value and you can take 30 minutes or carve out an hour, do that and leave. Even online events, because sometimes people feel like they're hostage when it's online. Because you can see everyone, right? And that means, if I pop off, people are going to know that I left. It's a little different when it's a room full of people. You can kind of shimmy off and people may or may not realize that you're gone. So it is okay to go into a networking session for a few minutes. You may pop in, special virtual, and realize, okay, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, and I'm going to get my time back, and you leave.
Mm-hmm.
So again, just think about the why you're going to the networking, what it is you hope to accomplish, who you would like to connect with. Definitely be clear on your ideal client. If someone is asking you, what do you do or how do you serve? How are you going to state that in a way that makes you memorable? Right? So that's the other thing. And sometimes it's like, let me keep carving this out, because if someone asks me what I do, and I tell you I add zeros to business owners' bottom line, that's all I tell you. You're going to want to know more, right? That automatically opens up the door to conversation. Wait a minute, how do you do that? What's all that about? But if I say, oh, I'm a mortgage broker. Oh, okay, that's nice. Because people already have in their mind what a mortgage broker does. And I've suddenly shortened that conversation or that opportunity for a more expansive conversation. So take your time to figure out what is your intro, right? How you're going to introduce yourself, your name, and what you do, so that when they walk away, you're memorable, right? Or if I say I'm a knowledge broker, what's a knowledge broker? Glad you asked. And then it opens up for more conversation. And I'm even guilty of that. If I hear someone and they say something, I've already, I'm a wellness coach. Oh, okay. I know what you do. You're a wellness coach. Okay, but I may not know the detail. I may not know how you do it or who you do it for, but you just put it in this big umbrella. So what's the likelihood of us doing a deep dive, engaging conversation? What's the likelihood that I'm really going to lean into that? Why? Because I know a lot of wellness coaches. So how do you position yourself so that you amplify your voice in a way that causes people to want to lean in and engage with you more? So that goes to, the science and the blend of the art piece of it.
Yeah, because I was more excited when you said, I help people add zeros to their income. I'm like, I leaned in. I'm like, I need to listen to her instead of, oh, yeah, I'm a mortgage broker. Oh, okay. Not saying I love mortgage brokers. They're good and everything, but it's just like you said, you get more of that lean in when you say that part, when you said, because now you're giving a solution to something. It's like all of a sudden you're like, especially people that are looking to increase their income. You said you can help me increase my income. Well, maybe I want to listen to how you do that. That's that connection. Yeah.
And then when you're sharing, you want to share just enough to create an interest that you can take that conversation offline, off social media, out of the room, to have a more intimate conversation. Right? So it's like, oh, if you like to know more, because at that point, if I say that and they're like, oh, what does that mean? Just that. I have found a way to create reliable, sustainable income. And no, I'm not talking about MLMs. I am talking about a strategy to remain relevant in a changing market. Is that sound interesting to you? Yes. Wow. We got a lot going on here. I don't want us to be interrupted. Do you mind if I ask you for your phone number or your contact information? I'd love to connect with you for maybe a 30-minute chat, because I really want to know more about what it is you're doing, maybe some hurdles that you have. I guarantee you that once you talk to me in that 30 minutes, you walk away with some ideas. You walk away with some ahas. Do you think that's worth your time? Yeah. They may say yes, they may say no. More often, it's yeah, sure. Okay, great. I'm gonna reach out to you, and I tell them when. I'm gonna reach out to you on Monday. I'm gonna give you a ring beam, and we'll set up a time that works for you.
Yeah. And through all that example that you did was powerful. You still didn't really tell them your title.
Right, exactly. And for me, everyone works differently, and you got the way people would traditionally pitch and stuff, and it doesn't mean it doesn't work, but we as people are ever evolving, and how we connect and interface is changing, and our attention span is shortening. Yeah. So you want to make yourself relevant in very impactful sound bites, so that you can create a deeper dialogue later. I know a lot of people, because it's efficiency, we'll be talking, or they don't even know anything about me, and they'll quickly say, here's my calendar, schedule time with me. Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't say I want to schedule time with you. That, for me, I don't like that. That's not my style. I would prefer if someone said, would you mind if I contact you? Because if I'm trying to get you as a strategic partner or a potential client, now it's about being on your time, not mine. Listen to what I said, your time. Not when you can fit in my schedule. When can I fit in yours? So I want to say, hey, do you have time this week? What days work best for you? I'm not going to give you a date, because the old school is, what days work for you? Monday or Wednesday? Morning or afternoon? 10 to 12 or 4 to 6? What did I do? I shoved you in my availability. But I make myself a little memorable, because it's not about me, it's about you. So that means if I really want to connect with Barbara, you better believe I'm going to shuffle some things on my calendar to get on hers. Because let's say Barbara's Oprah. Am I going to send Oprah my calendar and say, see when you can fit yourself in? No. So what if we addressed everyone as though they were Oprah or one of the biggest names out there that you would love to get a hold of? Michelle Obama. What if it was that type of person, Gloria Steinem? What if? Would you just shoot them your calendar? Or would you find, when do they have time for you? See, when someone allows you to occupy their space, don't take that for granted. It is an honor and a privilege for someone to stop their life for a moment in time to lean in to hear what you have to say. It is not your right for them to stop what they're doing and give you time that they can never give back. I found when I shifted how I think and see people and show up for people, they show up for me in amazing, amazing ways.
Wow. That's really good. Yeah, I love that where you said, you have to. It's about them. I mean, when you think about it, it's about them. It's not about you. And shoving that stuff in their face, be like, okay, they're gonna walk away with, okay, well, I'll see. Because most of the time, when you give them a link, I was just thinking about that. When you give them like your available link or your Calendly or whatever you're doing, um, maybe 85% of the time you might not get them on your calendar because they're moving on, they're doing what they need to do. But if you, like you said, lean in with them and say, what's your availability, how can we work it out on your calendar, that's when they lean in and say, she's making she's really making an effort now for me, she's thinking about me, she's not thinking about how she's doing her.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a time, and I am not saying that, your automated calendars are not viable
That's good.
solutions. They are, especially if you are, and I'll use you, Barbara, as an example. You've got different shows, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, if I have shows and I record on these dates and times, mm-hmm. and you said you want to be a show guest, mm-hmm. I'm going to give you my link. These are the only times that I'm available for you to be on the show, because mm-hmm. This is the recording time. Mm-hmm. It's very different, again, mm-hmm. when it's tying into a system and process. Yeah. But when we're talking about building relationships, mm-hmm. when you're shooting your stuff to me, it's like, is it about you or about me? You said you wanted to get to know me. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I want to say, don't just assume because you have a platform that everyone wants to be on your platform. It's kind of arrogant. I mean, I think Business and Financial Raw Talk is a great show because it's my show. I got to believe in it. Mm-hmm. But everyone maybe doesn't want to be on the show, and that's fine. There's other platforms. The right people will come to support my audience. And again, mm-hmm. that goes part of the networking, right? I got to have this communication to make sure whoever I'm inviting in the house mm-hmm. is going to be the right person that my audience wants to listen to. Mm-hmm. But when I don't do my homework, I'll call Barbara. I'm like, oh my gosh, that was not a good idea. That was the wrong person.
We both have dealt with that. Yes. I was like, ugh, that one was not good. But yeah.
Oh, and I've got to share this with you. This happened to me a couple of weeks ago. So I had done all the backstory, bringing, knew what we were going to talk about. I told them the lay of the show. We were about to record, and making sure they're okay with, and I don't give questions in advance, but just making sure they're still okay with the topic, and ask, was there anything specific that they needed to bring out in their clothes. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, the person starts dictating how the show is going to go. Well, LaWanna, okay, this is what we're going to do. I mean, this is how they said it. This is what we're going to do. I'm gonna let you introduce me, but I only want you to introduce me to this point. And then after you introduce me, then I want you to play this video. And then after that, I'm going to say, I said, whoa. This is my show.
You said, whoa.
And there is a run of show. I need you to follow my lead. I said, you will be spotlighted. Your message will be truly mm-hmm. amplified. Mm-hmm. But we don't develop a run of show 5 minutes before showtime. Mm-hmm. So again, think about that when you're showing up on someone's platform. It's a privilege to be there. Mm-hmm. How do you show up in someone's house? Mm-hmm. Or do you suddenly start going and rearranging things? You're a guest in their house and you're like, oh no, I don't like this color towel. Can I, where do you keep your towels? I want to change that. And no, you don't do that. So why would you do it when you're on someone's platform, either in person or virtual? Mm-hmm. Why are you coming in trying to rearrange stuff? That's the pre-conversation. It's like, okay, you're inviting me over for dinner. Do you want me to bring something? Oh, yes, please bring a side. let me get some clarity. Because I don't want someone, I'm allergic to shellfish. I don't want you bringing shellfish, right? So it's up to me to communicate.
Yeah. And I feel like if you want to rearrange so much in my household and stuff, then get your own house. So that means get your own platform.
Yes.
I mean, it gets to that point where it's so much of that going on. It's like, I think you need to have your own because you do a lot of stuff here and you're changing on my terms. So no.
I remember watching someone else had a show. It was really good. I was watching it online, and the guests started like over talking the host, and I was laughing because the host is very very seasoned, and she said, "Okay, Paula, this is my show." I mean, she literally stopped the show. This is my show. I need you to pause.
Mm.
And then she went on, and some people are like, "Oh, that's rude." Is it? Who was being rude? Who was being offensive? If someone comes into your own home and runs amok and is breaking stuff, are you just going to say, "Well, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to offend"? Really? Well, then you got the mess to clean up because you didn't put things in order. You didn't check things. It is okay in relationships to establish the parameters of how we're going to engage, how we're going to build, how we're going to grow, how we're going to expand. It is okay to set the rules of engagement in place in the beginning.
Yeah, so run them up.
Oh goodness. Well, we are like about out of time to show this last video, and Barbara, she could close us out. Here we go.
I've been searching for a gold mine, been digging for a long time, looking for a diamond of the rarest kind. Then one day I found a perfect treasure, a worth of impossible measure. I started to pray, then I heard you say you would forever be mine. I struck love. Now that I have found you, I struck love.
All right. Well, Barbara, it's been great again.
So with that, hopefully, well, I know I did. I always learn a lot from us and the show, and hopefully you all did too, especially when it comes to art and science of networking. Please look at the replays. I always tell people get your pen and pencil out because I took notes through the whole time that I was here and I'm on the show. So you learn a lot. With that said, we're going to close out where we always do, get the heart up, right? We always say, love yourself. Get the heart pumping. There you go. There you go. Boom, 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 boom. Embrace yourself. Oh. And also give the virtual hugs to others while you're embracing yourself too. Yes. And whatever you do, celebrate you.
Celebrate you. See you next month, everyone. Bye.
Bye.